And we have Lisa on the line. Lisa, welcome to WPFW.
And thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's been a little while since we had a conversation on the air. From the last release, I guess you had, we did an in-studio conversation at the other place we were at some years ago. So tell us about this new release, I Still Rise.
So I Still Rise started out with a song that I wrote during the first protests that were happening all over the United States. And I wanted to go out and protest, and I was afraid I might get hurt because I'm older and I have a walker. Mm-hmm. So I decided to write a song, and it started out with this poem, How Can We Sing About Freedom? And then because of all my time studying with Jay Clayton, I just sat down at the piano and started writing a melody to go with the minor blues. And it came out really well, and it made me feel like I had something to say and a way to protest because I was feeling so frustrated. And then the other thing that I wanted to do, and when I recorded it with the band, was to use the intro and ending of her beautiful song Beginner that she recorded about 3 or 4 times, once with Jerry Granelli, just with drums. And so we used that as the intro, and it's sort of a prayer to a tribute to my mentor and dear friend who passed away in December 2023.
Jay Clayton, I met her, was it in the 1970s when she was singing with Byron Morris in the 70s and 80s.
It's amazing.
And she was just incredible with what they did with Byron's recordings and her concerts with him. And she's just a marvelous vocalist, and just a wonderful person. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started singing, and how your career took off and then took a little sidetrack along the way.
Well, I was always singing, and when I was about 13, I think, I was in my first Broadway show, and I played Maria in The Sound of Music. And I said to my parents, this is what I want to do when I grow up. And they said, oh, no. Mm-hmm. So that's when it started. And so I got singing lessons and piano lessons. And pretty soon I got a guitar. And that was around the time that everybody was doing another kind of protest. In that period, we were all singing folk songs that had to do with freedom. Mm-hmm. And so the theme remains even in my 70s.
Sure.
It's funny how it's just always the freedom and the desire for democracy and the freedom of choice is so important to us throughout the decades. So I was singing in bands, I guess in the 70s. I began after school. And then I went to New York, and I studied, and I started going on tour. And then I made my first album, as you know, in 1983, and it was called Listen Here. And then that led to the second album, which I went to California and did it with Clare Fischer and his band, and that was called Touch of the Rare. Mm-hmm. And then I met Chick Corea, and he gave me all the songs for my Highwire album. That was recorded in 1987, but it never came out. And that was when I took my pause, and I just really focused on teaching, which was also a really great time, but it was really also not what I had planned. And I never would have thought that I would come back and start out with putting out Highwire. So most people wanted to know why I was putting out a 1987 album in 2019.
Sure.
And I didn't really know. I didn't know that I was going to end up with 2 more albums and maybe even 1 more after this.
Absolutely. Good. Absolutely. Tell us about the musicians who worked with you on I Still Rise and the one that just preceded this one, As Long as You're Living.
So Mark Copeland who used to live around here. I met him in 1987, and he played on my first demo. So I have worked with him a lot over the years, but I didn't see him for about 30 years. And then I called him up one day, and I said, I would like to do something, and Jay's going to be the producer. And Drew and I also did a lot of work in the 80s, and they ended up being just the greatest rhythm section and very close friends. So they came down here, and Jay was a friend of mine since my 30s, but I always wanted to study with her and never could get to because it was physically hard. So she came down and introduced me to Dave Ballou, who she knew when she taught at Peabody, and so he ended up in the band, and she also came down, and we went to Bias Studios, and she produced the album. And it was so special. Just to think about it gives me chills. And so one of the things that she did was, throughout the pandemic, is she really tried to teach me how to scat. And that was something that I was dying to just get more comfortable with. And she also taught me how to sing free music. So one of the songs on Long As You're Living is her song Happerchance, which I remember when my first demo, I tried to do something that was free like that. And I didn't know what I was doing. And by the time I got to do it on Long As You're Living, it was so much fun. And then we kind of morphed it into the Satie piece, Gymnopody Number 1, which was the last song on Long As You're Living. And then before I knew it, I wanted to do another record, and everybody was up for it. So they all came back, but unfortunately, Jay only came in spirit.
Right.
But we felt that she was there for every song. And I feel that she's coming to this concert that we're doing on Saturday.
Absolutely. So tell us about what's happening on Saturday.
So Saturday night, we're going to have a CD release party in Kensington, Maryland, and it's at a place called the Blue House, and it's a digital recording studio, and it's also got a live audience. So it's very intimate, and it's got a beautiful piano, and the whole band's coming in from New York, and Dave Ballou, of course, is in Towson. And the actual place is in Kensington, Maryland, and it's called Blue House Productions Live Soundstage. So it's one of 3 places, I think, that they have concerts. And we're going to have about 40 or 50 people and a photographer and a digital recording. And so we'll end up with all the songs, besides on the record, as videos also. So I thought that would be really important for my legacy and also a really fun way to celebrate both CDs.
Well, that's fantastic. That really is. And again, tell us about you mentioned about how we can sing about freedom and beginner, the combination of Jay Clayton's lyric on Beginner, and how'd you connect the two with what you were writing?
So I don't really know what the answer is. I just knew to do it.
Okay.
I think that she tapped me on the shoulder and said, how about using Beginner as the intro and the ending? And we actually did 2 takes of every song. Like when I did the album with her, that was her method. 2 takes of each song so you could pick what you liked. And so when we were doing Beginner, we did a whole one of just Beginner, and then we did one that had Beginner and How Can We Sing About Freedom. And I guess that's how it actually happened, come to think of it.
Fantastic.
But the other thing that I wanted to mention is both of these albums have no drummer.
Right.
And, I never used a trumpet before, and Jay used to sing with a trombone. And the way she doubled and the way she improvised, I just knew I wanted to do that. And I just love the trumpet. That was my first choice. And it gives you another voice to improvise with. and it also gives you harmonies and just beautiful colors. And the thing about no drums is there's so much space, and the silence seems to be so much more important than having the drums to me. And I may change my mind at some point, but I really just love this instrumentation, and it just makes me feel freer, and the time can kind of float, but it still swings. And of course, the band is very floaty.
Absolutely, and Mark and Drew are just excellent accompanists for you. You know,
they're
think
so
about that.
I've known also lovely people.
Absolutely, I've known Mark, God, over 50 years now. It's hard to believe, when he was here in D.C. back in the 70s.
Well, he'll be back here tomorrow.
Absolutely, fantastic. Well, here is Beginner and How Can We Sing About Freedom from this brand new release, I Still Rise. Lisa Rich. Lisa, thanks for calling in tonight. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Rusty. I adore you.
Thank you.